respect it does change. It began by being a future event. It became every moment an event in the nearer future. At last it was present. Then it became past, and will always remain so, though every moment it becomes further and further past. Thus we seem forced to the conclusion that all change is only a change of the characteristics imparted to events by their presence in the A series, whether those characteristics are qualities or relations. If these characteristics are qualities, then the events, we must admit, would not always be the same, since an event whose qualities alter is, of course, not completely the same. And even if the characteristics are relations, the events would not be completely the same if, as I believe to be the case, the relation of x to y involves the existence in x of a quality of relationship to y. Footnote 2. I am not asserting, as Lotze did, that a relation between x and y consists of a quality in x and a quality in y, a view which I regard as quite indefensible. I assert that a relation z between x and y involves the existence in x of the quality having the relation z to y, so that a difference of relations always involves a difference in quality, and a change of relations always involves a change of quality. End footnote. Then there would be two alternatives before us. We might admit that events did really change their nature in respect of these characteristics, though not in respect of any others. I see no difficulty in admitting this. It would place the determinations of the A series in a very unique position among the characteristics of the event, but on any theory they would be very unique characteristics. It is usual, for example, to say that a past event never changes, but I do not see why we should not say, instead of this, a past event changes only in one respect, that every moment it is further from the present than it was before. But although I see no intrinsic difficulty in this view, it is not the alternative I regard as ultimately true. For if, as I believe, time is unreal, the admission that an event in time would change in respect of its position in the A series would not involve that anything really did change. Without the A series, then, there would be no change, and consequently the B series by itself is not sufficient for time, since time involves change. The B series, however, cannot exist except as temporal, since earlier and later, which are the distinctions of which it consists, are clearly time determinations. So it follows that there can be no B series where there is no A series, since where there is no A series there is no time. But it does not follow that, if we subtract the determinations of the A series from time, we shall have no series left at all. There is a series of the permanent relations to one another of those realities which in time are events. And it is the combination of this series with the A determinations which gives time. But this other series, let us call it the C series, is not temporal, for it involves no change, but only an order. Events have an order. They are, let us say, in the order MNOP. And they are therefore not in the order MONP or ONMP, or in any other possible order. But that they have this order no more implies that there is any change than the order of the letters of the alphabet, or of the peers on the Parliament roll, implies any change. And thus those realities which appear to us as events might form such a series without being entitled to the name of events, since that name is only given to realities which are in a time series. It is only when change and time come in that the relations of this C series become relations of earlier and later, and so it becomes a B series. More is wanted, however, for the genesis of a B series and of time than simply the C series and the fact of change. For the change must be in a particular direction, and the C series, while it determines the order, does not determine the direction. If the C series runs MNOP, then the B series from earlier to later cannot run MONP or MPON or in any way but two. But it can run either MNOP, so that M is earliest and P latest, or else PONM, so that P is earliest and M latest. And there is nothing in either the C series or in the fact of change to determine which it will be. A series which is not temporal has no direction of its own, though it has an order. If we keep to the series of the natural numbers, we cannot put 17 between 21 and 26, but we keep to the series whether we go from 17 through 21 to 26, or whether we go from 26 through 21 to 17. The first direction seems the more natural to us because this series has only one end, and it is generally more convenient to have that end as a beginning than as a termination. But we equally keep to the series in counting backward. Again, in the series of categories in Hegel's dialectic, the series prevents us from putting the absolute idea between being and causality. But it permits us either to go from being through causality to the absolute idea, or from the absolute idea through causality to being. The first is, according to Hegel, the direction of proof, and is thus generally the most convenient order of enumeration. But if we found it convenient to enumerate in the reverse direction, we should still be observing the series. A non-temporal series, then, has no direction in itself, though a person considering it may take the terms in one direction or in the other, according to his own convenience. And in the same way, a person who contemplates a time order may contemplate it in either direction. I may trace the order of events from the Great Charter to the Reform Bill, or from the Reform Bill to the Great Charter. But in dealing with the time series, we have not to do merely with a change in an external contemplation of it, but with a change which belongs to the series itself. And this change has a direction of its own. The Great Charter came before the Reform Bill, and the Reform Bill did not come before the Great Charter. Therefore, besides the C-series and the fact of change, there must be given, in order to get time, the fact that the change is in one direction and not the other. We can now see that the A-series, together with the C-series, is sufficient to give us time. For in order to get change, and change in a given direction, it is sufficient that one position in the C-series should be present, to the exclusion of all others, and that this characteristic of presentness should pass along the series in such a way that all positions on the one side of the present have been present, and all positions on the other side of it will be present. That which has been present is past. That which will be present is future. Footnote 3. This account of the nature of the A-series is not valid, for it involves a vicious circle, since it uses has been and will be to explain past and future. But, as I shall endeavour to show later on, this vicious circle is inevitable when we deal with the A-series, and forms the ground on which we must reject it. End footnote. Thus, to our previous conclusion that there can be no time unless the A-series is true of reality, we can add a further conclusion that no other elements are required to constitute a time series except an A-series and a C-series. We may sum up the relations of the three series to time as follows. The A and B series are equally essential to time, which must be distinguished as past, present and future, and must likewise be distinguished as earlier and later. But the two series are not equally fundamental. The distinctions of the A series are ultimate. We cannot explain what is meant by past, present and future. We can to some extent describe them, but they cannot be defined. We can only show their meaning by examples. Your breakfast this morning, we can say to an inquirer, is past. This conversation is present. Your dinner this evening is future. We can do no more. The B series, on the other hand, is not ultimate. For given a C series of permanent relations of terms, which is not in itself temporal, and therefore is not a B series, and given the further fact that the terms of this C series also form an A series, and it results that the terms of the C series become a B series, those which are placed first in the direction from past to future, being earlier than those whose places are further in the direction of the future. The C series, however, is as ultimate as the A series. We cannot get it out of anything else. That the units of time do form a series, the relations of which are permanent, is as ultimate as the fact that each of them is present, past or future. And this ultimate fact is essential to time, for it is admitted that it is essential to time that each moment of it shall either be earlier or later than any other moment, and these relations are permanent. And this, the B series, cannot be got out of the A series alone. It is only when the A series, which gives change and direction, is combined with the C series, which gives permanence, that the B series can arise. Only part of the conclusion which I have now reached is required for the general purpose of this paper. I am endeavouring to base the unreality of time not on the fact that the A series is more fundamental than the B series, but on the fact that it is as essential as the B series, that the